Welcome to the Nerdbauchery stream of the Golden Hammer of Koth, here for GaryCon. I am Rich, your illustrious DM. I am an evil bastard, and I will enjoy making you miserable for the next couple of hours. Hopefully you enjoy yourselves. With us today we have Jeff and James. James is playing Lyrian Zolroth, the Aasimar Bard, whereas Jeff is playing Dastris Flaskbender, the Hill Dwarf Cleric. Now, for most of your lives, you have lived hand to mouth, taking up any job or quest to keep your belly full. But now the worm has turned, and either through shrewd tactics, use of force, or, most likely in your case, as simple blind luck, you've come into possession of a map detailing the whereabouts of one of the most legendary treasures in all of Faerun, the Golden Hammer of Koth. Knowing that legendary items often equate to an unimaginably heavy gold purse, you've made your way to the town of Dagger Falls. Inside the ruined Church of Lathander is an entrance to a forgotten crypt where the map claims the item lies in an unknown antechamber. Whether it be through greed, bravado, stupidity, or a combination of all three, you've decided to begin your descent into this pit of horrors with a local laborer named Javier in tow. And this, my friends, is where your story begins. So, please tell me, as you descend into this dank antechamber, what is it you would like to do first?
Well, I am not a man of prayer. Not a man of prayer, but I do have a cleric at my side to do all of that for me. So I suppose I am bracing myself as much as possible for what is about to come.
And how about you, Dastris?
I'm gonna take a swig out of my flask. Look down into the darkness.
It seems
Let's do it.
It seems quiet. You do not hear any noises really coming from deep within, but Javier looks at the two of you, and he definitely looks nervous. So, as you start to descend, you see that the walls, the stone masonry that was once well kept, is starting to become very decrepit. And as you move in, you notice that the flagstones beneath your feet are uneven. Everything is just really, really, at this point, especially to you, Dastris, you're looking around, and it's a shame to see how much it's fallen apart. It's sad.
Used to be beautiful. I can tell.
You can tell that the stonework and the masonry that we had there was
Fine.
it was beautiful. It was very well done at the time. And as you guys start moving through the hall, I just need to know from each of you real quick, what are your passive perceptions so I can keep note of that?
I have a 13.
Okay.
Passive 9, unfortunately.
Oh. Bard is not very perceptive, it seems. But that's okay. So as Javier walking with you, holding a torch in hand, as he's simply a human, nothing special in that regard. He slowly starts moving through the hall and guiding you along, your footsteps echoing down into the darkness, the smoke pouring off the torches, clinging to the moist walls and sections. As Javier passes by, I'm going to need, based on what we're looking at, who would be behind Javier? Who's next in line? Would it be the hardy dwarf, or would it be the lithe and nimble bard?
I would presume to be behind the cleric.
I have no problem being in the middle there.
I'm not super fond of the only rocks I like are the ones in my rings.
You're right. Those are fine too. All right, I'll be behind Javi.
All right, as Javier leads you on through, you see that he's sort of walking very gingerly, moving, is very nervous, and you can tell he is not happy to be in the lead. But he sort of looks back at you, waving you guys on. And Dastris, I'm going to need you to give me a... what you said your passive perception was a 13, so go ahead and give me a perception check. Yeah. Because you're sort of investigating all of the stone. Since you are a dwarf and you have stone cutting, I will allow you to do so with your stone cutting ability. Which should give you, if I'm not mistaken, it gives you advantage, but I might be wrong on that. I'm double checking now.
It's
History checks, you get to double your, so you can, in this perception check, I'm going to allow you to double your proficiency bonus on your roll.
Oh, okay. So that'd be a 4 instead of a 2.
Yes.
That would be
with a 19. Look at you. So as you start moving through,
no sloucher.
As you move through the dungeon's dark corridors, looking for traps and sort of admiring the stonework, you stop as you feel a few grains of what feel like sand hitting your neck. And as you look up, you know sand does not fall up. Your reflexes kick into action within a brief second as you leap forward, as rubble and debris pour from the ceiling between you and your ally, as the ceiling and corridor partially collapse. You jump forward into the clear area that your eyes can focus on, just narrowly missing a possibly lethal blow.
Whoa.
And not to be I thought I saw an Asimar figure, not the one that's bouncing around as the wizard, but if not, it's fine.
The Asimar figure, where is that one? Did you grab, JC, the Asimar is, that's the one that's the bard. Yeah, that should be replacing the wizard. Unless that's Javier. No, Javier is up front, yeah. So you replace the grizzled old beard with the Asimar. There you go.
There you go. I like the hair on my head.
Two party, right? The other guys are dead.
Yeah. The other two members of their party passed away before entering.
These two are the deceased people.
Yeah. The two that you saw following you briefly were the shadows and echoes of your fallen party members that still haunt you from the orc raiding party that you had met on the road towards Dagger Falls. And you two barely escaping with your lives, having to have left them behind, their memory still haunts you to this day. And once in a while you swear you can see them walking alongside you. And perhaps they gave you just that little bit of push to avoid the crushing rocks that could have put you into the same boat as them.
So to see this when the ceiling partially collapsed, is it it's blocking only looks like part of the hallway?
Yeah, it was a heavy falling of debris and sand, creating difficult terrain in that area. But looking at it, you can see, like, if that had fallen on your head, you would probably be unconscious at this point. So you're seeing how quickly Dastrus was able to get out of the way. You're glad that you were not directly behind him, Lyrian, in that moment. But as the dust settles and the sand sort of settles down to the ground, the dust clears a bit. You can see that with just some ginger stepping, you'll be able to cross through that without too much of a problem.
I'm definitely once my compatriots ahead of me move a little forward, I'm definitely going to gingerly yet little hastened pace get through that little area.
Okay. So as you sort of take your time through that, hunkering down, Javier looks back, sees that happening. He's like, I'm not being paid enough to lead you through such a dangerous area. I will guide you, but you in the armor with the shield, you, Dastrus, was it? Perhaps you would be better to take the lead here. I will hold the torch. I will guide you as best that I can.
All right, fine.
So he sort of takes a step back. Thank you, sir. Thank you. If that had fallen on me, my wife, my children, there's not much I could do about it. They would be left on the streets with nothing.
I mean, to be honest, it could have fell at any point. It could have fell in the middle or the end.
Yes.
We're all being cautious here.
Yes. Well, that is why I have no problem accompanying you. As was stated, we're down here to try to find a treasure that will for sure change my life. But the risks that you're taking, you're obviously going to take a larger chunk of the reward. I'm just glad that I was able to get the licensing and permits that were needed for us to be able to explore this place without any interference from the guards.
All right. Administration's worth something.
There's not much you can do about bureaucracy.
No, there's not.
As you continue past the rubble, the smell of mold and mildew permeates the air. Old, cracked stone.
Just like Mom's house.
And then darkness is all that follows, with only the sounds of footfalls and what might be screams trailing off in the darkness as an indicator of possible woe to follow.
It's a bit bizarre.
As your
No
eye...
one's down here, right, Javi?
Not that I would know of, sir. These areas are not easy to access, and if bandits or anyone of that nature were to come down here, there would surely be signs. And as your
Knocked over the rocks.
And as your eyes adjust to the light, you see before you a large square room with a sandy floor. Dented, rusty shields adorn the wall. Many are covered with graffiti of former adventurers. Some based on the few bones you see scattered along the floor. Less successful than others. The sand sort of squelches and shifts under your boot. It's not hard packed, but it is damp and moist from the mold, the mildew, the water that runs down the walls. This is very thick and very heavy, and as you take your first steps, you can feel it almost sucking at your boots. You only sink down an inch or two, but it is very hard to keep an even footing as you're moving through here.
I personally would like to kind of hug the closest wall as we move along through this room.
Okay. Moving underneath the different shields.
Anything recognizable?
Uh,
Anything we know?
If you're looking at the shields, you look at one of them and you notice a few of them seem to be of dwarven make, and that catches your eye. So you reach out, and as you go to grab one of them, a large rat quickly scurries out of the darkness, goes up onto its hind legs, sniffing at the air. You can see its beady red eyes reflected in the torchlight. It sort of tilts its head looking at you before burrowing into the sand and rushing off again. The first shield you grab, as you pick it up, it starts to just crumble away, and the sections where you held, the rust and corrosion just turn to a fine red powder in your hands. The next one that you move up to, the same thing happens. And as you're sort of looking, as you see these crumbled refuse and you see this red fine dust, you notice a small piece of parchment half buried in sand underneath one of the shields the dwarven make.
I'll pick it up and dust it off.
And as you do, you turn it over and you see Davic runes that seem to be scrawled in blood. You see the words Liberate Sulo Me, and you know that saying all too well, Dastras, because the common translation of that is save yourselves.
Oh, it seems someone didn't fare so well down here.
What does it say?
Yes,
Save yourself.
and as that happens, you see Javier just sort of pushes back to the wall, holding the torch close. Please, sirs, we should leave this place. There can be nothing worth gaining here, if we must die to get it. I mean, the tales of riches and gold are wonderful, but what is the cost?
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah, I agree with my winged friend there.
Well, you two are very, very brave, but I don't know if I should go on. I don't think it would be wise if... And you see he's sort of waffling back and forth.
Everything. Don't worry, we'll take care of you on the way back. If you need to go take care of your family, I have no problem with it.
He looks over the two of you, seeing the weapons on your side, seeing the different treasures that you've collected over time. No, I should go with at least a bit further to make sure that you're okay. And hey, even if we don't make it all the way through, there is always these stories that I'll be able to tell my children of how I got to experience an adventure with heroes such as yourselves.
I might even sign a piece of paper for you, autograph or what have you.
You see just a broad grin cross his face. That would be quite nice. Perhaps when we get up and we share a mug of ale together, we can talk about those things, and perhaps you could, I don't know, tell some of my friends in the tavern that I was very brave down here and didn't seem so cowardly and scared. It would go long for my reputation.
Everybody's scared at now and then, don't worry.
I've seen far more scared than you. You're nearly
So it's my
insensible.
business a couple of times.
And you just notice his posture shifts a little bit. He lifts his chin up a bit more. And he seems thankful that you would say such kind things. And this conversation is happening as you're slowly making your way over the sandy floor, moving a little further in. And as you enter into the next area, the first thing that you notice is the sense of copper and refuse. And you turn your nose, and after a moment you realize what you're smelling is the smell of fresh death in the air. But the room itself is uncommonly clear of debris.
So we have all the bones, some shields. Then we have, is that a doorway?
Yes. You see on the far wall, on the northern and southern walls, as a matter of fact, you see torches. And as you start scanning the area, looking around the room by the light of Javier's torch, aside from dirt, mold, and the light that's flickering through the room, there seems to be little else here. And if there was anything of value, it must have been taken long ago. You start approaching towards the other doorway.
Yeah.
Yes, cautiously.
Okay. If you're going to be moving cautiously, I'm going to need each of you to give me stealth checks.
Okay.
Since you are actively.
That would be a 15.
It rolled yours with advantage.
4, sorry.
Yes, I was going to say.
Sorry.
All right.
Yes, the 15 looks so much better.
It really does. Isn't it nice how it's all highlighted? And yet somehow the dwarf
With his clanky armor.
in their heavy armor.
No, he's a bard.
Oh, that is wonderful. Well, actually, no. Yeah, that's perfect. As you start moving up towards the doorway, you hear multiple guttural animal-like grunts. It's off in the distance, and whatever they are, they're speaking. You can make out snatches of speech, and it sounds like they're speaking common. But at this distance, it is too distorted to make out anything that they're saying. And Dastris, as you move up a little bit closer to this entryway and start to listen, at that point, their voices go silent as you hear the clatter of both Javier and your bardic friend collapse to the ground as they trip over a loose flagstone. Your friend's sword skittering across the ground. Lyrian, you scrape up your palms and your knees from the fall. And everything goes quiet. The speech, pure silence.
Boy. Turn around. Can you guys just keep it down a bit?
And as you're approaching that area, from the silence you hear, I smell meat.
In common?
In common. In very broken, guttural common.
Very slowly, carefully draw my long sword.
Javier hears this, and you see he moves back against one of the far walls just around the corner from where you're approaching. No, 4, 3.
Should we try to perhaps Dastris stand on either side of this entry to try and hopefully get some kind of edge on whatever's through this portcullis?
Yeah.
So,
The kind of oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to clarify what it is you're trying to do.
So I kind of, I mean, looking at what it looks like, if does it sound like this voice is coming closer with once it speaks, or?
Go ahead and give me a perception check.
All right. Perception not my strong suit.
Neither is stealth.
Yeah, 1.
So remember how Tony was saying he had that strange hack that allows the players to roll like garbage?
I'm really seeing it.
That was a joke. You don't have to take it seriously. You can roll in double digits. It's okay.
I think this is payback for last night. I rolled tremendously well throughout the whole campaign, so I think this is the balance of things.
That's how it happens sometimes, unfortunately. So,
Oh boy.
you don't hear anything, unfortunately.
Well, my goal was, how, by looking at the map, was for us to kind of be in a similar position to what we are, but a little bit, so we're obstructed from the view of the door, which unfortunately leaves our friend in plain view unless he decides to get away. And not to make him a bait, but if he were to stay back and in the open on the far side of the room, so at least whatever, if it does come through that door, that we could be on either side of the doorway out of sight, with hopefully some kind of. That was kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, Javier actually was going to move back to the hallway around the corner. We'll move the pieces at the next live update. We'll have the pieces moved. But if you guys are trying to flank the doorway on either side, that is perfectly fine. You can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why doesn't he make a little more noise on the way out? We just say, Harvey, you don't have to be part of the fight, but can you make a little noise on the way out?
I think I could do that, sure. And as you two flank the doorway, Javier starts moving back and looks around and sees an old hilt of a broken sword. He picks it up, and in this room you do see some discarded items that are old and pitted and of no consequence whatsoever. He sort of takes that hilt, flings it over into the corner, and with a loud clatter of the hilt banging into a round, heavily pitted shield, it just starts to clatter around the room in the style of a pan lid that slowly hits the ground and starts spiraling. And the sound just echoes through the chambers. At which point you hear another loud grunt, and now you hear footsteps rapidly approaching. At this moment, I would like each of you to give me an initiative roll, please. Okay.
There you go, James.
Yeah, great.
That'll work. I can absolutely work with that. So, as you are moving in...
Well, my plan wasn't really to move in. It was that someone with the noise made.
Yeah, as you move into position on either side of the door and you ready yourselves, Lyrian, you have your longsword out. What about you, Dastris?
I have my warhammer out.
Okay. So you're on either side of the door, ready to swing at anything that may come through. And as they start to rush forward, that passageway, they rush in, and you see three orcs, two of which are very broad and strong, covered in heavy scarring. One's tusk is completely broken away. The other one has a really gnarly scar moving from his left temple down across his nose that's taken over half of his nose away. And the third one, he's quite scrawny. But that being said, he is taller than the other two. His arms are very lanky and gangly, similar to that of a bugbear. But he is definitely not built the same as the other two that you see here. And you also notice that he has a fresh wound on his chest and his head that is slowly seeping blood. So as they start rushing into the room, one after the next, you each have the opportunity attack to take on them, as they are not surprised, but they do rush directly past you before realizing that an ambush has been set.
Excellent. And would we get advantage on this attack?
Since you are flanking them, I will allow advantage on this. In my personal games, I actually changed it from advantage to an additional +2 to all attacks. But in this case, we will be using advantage.
Okay.
Does that have can we cast a spell, or does it have to be?
It's an opportunity attack, so it will be a melee attack.
Okay, I
I'm
got it.
going, yeah.
If you, what I will say is, if you wanted to prepare a spell, you could have done so when you were setting yourself up against the wall. But if you do not cast it, yeah. But if you prepare a spell and you do not cast it, you lose that spell at the end of your next turn.
Oh, it's a cantrip, but
Oh, then that's fine. All right. So, who's taking the first swing? Is it going to be James or Jeff?
it'd be James, because he absolutely destroyed my machine.
So as the first one rushes, to paint the scene, did they all three rush past us, or am I swinging at the first one that's coming through the door? Or, I mean, the way you painted the picture, it sounded like they all three rushed past us.
All three of them start to rush past you. You can choose to attack any of the three. I will give you that.
Oh, okay. So I'm hoping to catch the first one right in the belly. I have my long sword ready. I'm both hands just right midsection.
Okay, go for it.
Try and catch him as he's coming through the door here. 15.
A 15 will absolutely hit. And as you take that cricket bat swing, catching him directly in the midsection, you slice easily into that hide armor, and you feel yourself connect with the heavily muscled flesh of this orc. And with a grunt and a groan, the blade cuts through, and you see just heavy gouts of blood and viscera start pouring from that wound.
Now that's
I'll follow it. Well,
He is still standing, and as that hits, he doubles forward and stumbles forward a bit more. And Dastrus, you take that opportunity of him bent over, bringing your warhammer up into the air, and even with him stumbling, you connect on the back of his skull, full force, and with that sickening wet crack, his skull splits like an overripe fruit as he splays to the ground, falling forward, dead.
Now things are a bit more even.
The other two quickly run into the room. The one directly behind him actually has a little bit of an issue trying to move into the room, and if my computer would respond, there we go. The one thing I don't like about trying to do everything virtually is you are subject to the whims of technology. He is going to make a dexterity save to keep his footing as he sort of stumbles over the viscera and gray matter of his companion. And that is a 21. That is a natural 20. My first roll of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe Tony wasn't kidding.
like a ballerina. Oh, great.
Yeah.
We're in awe.
Amazing. So, with that, he steps onto his companion and seeing his friend doubled over, followed by a warhammer coming out of the side of the wall, cracking into his head. He is mid-back on this orc before hopping off to the side and whirling to look at the two of you. At this point, we are in the initiative order, and we are looking at... It comes up to James, as they were not surprised, but with that and you taking them out, it sort of stuns them for a moment. So, James, it is on you. And Jeff, you will actually go after this first orc. It then comes to you.
Okay, so
Hear that?
he said I'll go, and then one orc is going to go, and then you, Jeff.
Yeah, so it's going to be alternating.
Okay.
And I could take a swipe at either of the two, or is one closer to me than the other?
One, they sort of leap off on either side, so one is facing each of you. Unfortunately for you, Jeff, it seems that the bigger one has taken a look at you. James, you seem to have the lanky, scrawnier one standing directly before you.
Not always good, I found in fights.
Yeah, I do.
I will try and where you said he already has a wound kind of in his belly.
He has one across his stomach and one across his face. He definitely looks like he's been recently wounded, like maybe he was fighting something or took a tumble.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and still two-handed, try to go from kind of his right shoulder, kind of at an angled, kind of downward strike across his chest here.
All right, go for it. Let's see what you got. Show me what you got.
How about a 21?
A 21 unfortunately will no. 21 absolutely hits. And as you take that swing, bringing it down from his right shoulder, scarring across the chest and actually crisscrossing the other wound on him, he lets out a guttural howl. As you actually split from his chest across his sternum, you just see the skin splitting open as if you were to grab an orange and just crush it in your hand until the rind itself opens up. You can see down to the bone where your sword cut through him. His hands go to his guts as intestines start spilling out. He is standing, but not by much. As you just see this look of fear, quickly surpassed by rage, fill his eyes. The other one looks over, sees what happens. Told you were weak. And he turns, swinging the great axe that he has in his hand, directly at you, Jeff. And with one great axe swing, that will be a 7 to attack. He brings that axe straight down overhead, coming down at you, and this is just the most basic tactic that you were taught to defend against when you were coming up. You take your warhammer, bring it up directly to the haft of his axe, throwing the entire attack off balance, and the axe slams down into the flagstone floor directly next to you as he just looks up at you, and you just see that blood-red rage filling his eyes as he goes to come at you. And with that, it is on you.
They taught us how to do that in the army. And so I'll cast Word of Radiance.
Now, with the way that you are currently positioned, I will tell you that since it has not been updated on the map here, because we have things going on in the background, technically, the way the orcs are positioned, if you were to step into the doorway, you would have both orcs within 5 feet of you.
Okay, so I would do that.
Okay.
Constitution's probably one of their better stats.
So there's only one working. Not two left.
Yeah. All right. The map is being updated. So, each creature of your choice within range must succeed in a Constitution.
One of them.
I'm not catching the audio.
Yeah, me neither.
Nope, the mic went out again. As soon as I plug it back in.
No, it's on right now. Oh, it was.
There we go. Hello? Testing. I love technology.
You were warned of that cord.
Yes, and the cord has not been touched or moved. Now, unfortunately, both of the orcs do pass their DC 13 save. But you hold your holy symbol out and you utter a single word in Dwarvish, and the room briefly illuminates with this holy glow, and you see both orcs turn their head. The one with his guts pretty much hanging through his fingers, just hunkering down. The other one just crossing his axe across his face to use his forearm to guard from the light as they howl out in pain and frustration. It is now on the scrawny orc. He, now that he is holding his guts in his hand, has dropped his axe. But in a moment of pure desperation and rage, he actually grabs his own entrails, Lyrian, pulling a piece of the intestine out, and goes to try to strangle you with it. He is going to be making a grapple check against you. Oh. So you need to give me a athletics or acrobatics check.
I'm definitely going acrobatics. How about a 23?
Well, let's see. Yeah, a 14 will not do it. So he goes to loop those entrails at you. And with that move, you look at him and you can tell this orc probably not the brightest bulb in the box. As he does so, you are ready to defend yourself. But as he pulls, using both hands, you hear the wet smacking sound of what is inside of him very quickly spilling out as he drops to his knees, gurgles a few times, spitting up bile and blood, before collapsing to the ground, and you can see shallow breathing as the pool of blood slowly starts to spill out around him.
You've got a lot of guts trying that move on me.
The other orc, looking at this, has a look of confusion, annoyance. It's hard to gauge, but you can tell that there's a hell of a lot of anger and rage coming from him in this moment. So, with that, it comes back to you. What do you do?
So it looks like is he flanked again?
You could easily move around because you now have two collapsed orcs and you have one standing. You could easily flank him with your ally.
Okay, I will do so. So I'm gonna presume, is he facing me? Or is he actually, looks like he's facing me, but is he
Yes.
facing me or is he facing me?
He's now sort of looking in your direction because he just watched his ally gut himself to try to take you out.
Right, so I'm going to basically come forward at kind of a straightforward thrust at him, hopefully while he's in the midst of still seeing the ignorance of his fallen partner, and come at him mid-belly here with my long sword.
Go for it. Give me a swing. Make it a good one.
19.
A 19 hits without issue. And you just give that low thrust. He brings the great axe down at the last moment, knocking your blade to the side, avoiding a direct gut hit. But as you thrust in and upward, you catch him along the side of his stomach and actually drag it up along his ribs and along his pectoral muscle. And like a letter opener moving through parchment, you split the skin. It does not split all the way to the bone, but it splits deeply, and he howls in rage. At which point he looks down at you, looks at the cleric, looks back and forth, lifts up his axe, and tries to take a sweeping blow across the two of you. James, you are the primary target, though, so we shall see.
I would think so.
You could just some damage.
Will a 15? A 15.
That will hit.
So with that enraged swing, you just see the cords in his neck and traps stand out, and he just buries that axe into your side. And you feel the white, hot flash of pain as this jagged, rusty, corroded axe bites into your flesh.
Son of a Birian.
With that, it turns to Jeff. As the orc is just looking at your doubled ally and laughing now. Almost foam coming from the corners of his mouth as he is enraged.
Okay, so I will pull the dead on the guy who tried to strangle James with his guts.
Okay. So that will just be... What kind of save is it?
Wisdom.
Oh, they're super strong on wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah, but the problem is, I was rolling it just for the theater of effect. He is unconscious and bleeding out, so that will automatically give him the second death save. So he has now officially failed 3 times. Because if you notice, I keep picking my phone up. I have a dice roller there. I don't like to roll the death saves and roll 20. I like to keep those private. But that third... He rolled a natural 1 on his first save. And now you just added the third to it. So he is now completely dead. And as that bell echoes through this chamber, you see the breathing, one final exhale, and then the body goes still.
And I'm not sure if you know, but if you open the dice roller and then you just click on the GM, you can actually whisper your rolls so we can't see them. If you want to do it on roll 20.
The only problem with that is with the way that the stream is set up, it is watching the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would still see my private rolls if I did it that way. That's why I'm using my phone.
Got it.
All right, so there's now 1 orc remaining. It would be the gutsy one, but he is now expired, so it comes right back around to James.
Oh, I'm really not feeling that last hit. To be real, I'm going to I'm going to be basically I'm holding my side, and so with the one-hand stroke of my long sword, I'm going to try to take a swing at this remaining orc. That would be a crit.
How do you want to do it, my friend? How do you want to take him out? Describe it.
So basically, with all of the fury that basically he was feeding me with his eyes and his mockery, my eyes matched that intensity as I just, holding my side, come right across and under his chin with the final blow.
He's on the Discord.
Okay. All right, and with that, you just look him dead in the eye, and you see that hatred and rage glowing. You bring it in, and with an ease that you have never felt before, your sword cuts into him, and you feel his body folding and crumpling, and you just hold that in and slowly drag it until you feel the sensation of metal on bone as you just slowly drag through his body into the spinal column and the ribs, and you just let him slowly slide off of your blade to the ground, and he falls there, glassy-eyed and lifeless.
And then I kind of go down to one knee myself, holding my side. Like, ugh. That definitely took what I had left in me.
You have defeated the orcs, my friends.
At a heavy cost. Oh.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. That was much needed, friend.
At least some of my spells work.
That was wondrous. Oh. Good to have you by my side. As always, Destrous.
Me too. Lee. You can call me Das. All right. Well, Javi. Oh, so there's a door to the right. There's big columns. All right, what should we do now?
I'm feeling fresh and good. Thanks to you.
Search these guys? I mean, they're...
Yes.
Why were they in here?
Once again, I had to reconnect the mic because it keeps disconnecting. All right, you guys are going to search the bodies, but please give me one moment because it seems that we have two more individuals that have come in. They were having an issue with Discord allowing them into the server. As we stepped away for a few moments, Dastrus and Lyrian very quickly and very methodically cut down the three orcs that tried to ambush them. And as they're going through the bodies, they find some rotten rations, they find the 3 great axes, and a handful of coins that were that they had from stolen coin purses, but nothing of note, nothing of great interest. And as you two are sort of hunkered over these eviscerated corpses, looting them, you hear footsteps approaching from where you once came, and you see torchlight starting to reflect off the walls, as well as 2 sets of shadows. Coming around the corner, as you say that, coming around the corner, you see Javier sort of poke his head out a little bit before waving behind him. And stepping out from behind him, towering over him, you see Iwu, your friend who you thought you had lost on the battlefield a few hours prior. Standing there a little worse for wear, but very clearly alive and in the flesh.
Iwu, we thought we had lost you. We would have never left you.
Right.
Had we known you live.
Yeah.
Oh. I guess that's appropriate.
The warm welcome and the heartfelt reunion of the 3 adventurers is taking a moment before Javier looks around, and looks up to you. Was that all of them? Are they all gone now?
Well, as far as I know.
Yeah, all that we've seen in the moment.
And he looks to you. He's like, I warned them that anyone that comes down here, as long as they have the proper permits, shouldn't be of any risk. But as you can see, some people find their way into these areas without following the proper channels, and it can be very dangerous for, well, I mean, a simple man like myself.
Yeah, orcs aren't known to be able to maneuver through bureaucracy that well.
So after a few minutes of catching your breath and the very brief catching up the three of you do, you begin to move on.
Well, there's a door there, and then there's looks like a gated, a cage section of the floor, and then some statue or some body lying.
Yes. Let's see if I can point to it.
Yeah, I think good.
Yeah, over here you see the statue, like the statuary on the wall, and you see a skeleton laying on the floor here, next to the door. This area that you're inspecting, you see there's carvings on the walls of bas-reliefs of skeletons and demons. The skeleton that's laying on the floor has its slender arm stretched towards the western wall.
Does the skeleton look like it has any aliveness to it? Because some skeletons have attacking stuff.
As you're looking at it, you see that it is stripped bare, and most of its bones from the rib cage down have been scattered in its general area, but it is no longer an entire skeleton. What you're seeing is a body that has absolutely been looted and kicked past. There seems to be no stirring or rustling of bones in this area. It seems to be completely still.
Can I determine what kind of skeleton it is?
It was absolutely humanoid as you're looking over it. It was either a human or a half-elf, as the bone structure is quite similar, but that's about as far as you can go, and this has clearly been here for quite some time.
Right. And the grating on the floor, can we look down it?
It seems to lead down into darkness, and as you sort of lean over it, you get a whiff of just the pungent smell of sewage. And you know the Dagger Falls itself has a undercity sewer system that sort of travels the length of the city and pours out into the river that it is connected to. So heading down there is something that you absolutely do not want to deal with. Because one, the smell, it never comes out of clothes. Whatever you're wearing, you're just going to have to get rid of. You've gone through that once before on one of your previous adventures, and with your current light purses, it does not seem like the wisest path to go.
And I just buffed out my armor, so
Yeah.
let's. So can we look around the room?
You absolutely can.
Let's see what's over there.
And as you start looking around, you notice all of these different pillars in the room stretching up, all carved with these strange markings. And it's discerning that these creatures, at first glance, you're seeing all of these demons and skeletons carved in the catacombs of a temple of Lathander. But you notice around them there are other pieces of sculpture on these walls that have sort of been carved away or eroded over time. And with a little bit of stone cutting, you're able to piece together what was once here were murals of different champions and warriors of Lathander fighting down these demons. So what at first glance seems very ominous and despicable, you realize was once a story of triumph over the hells and the abyss.
Any indication what this room used to be?
It seems to have been a dedication chamber, honestly, looking over it.
Okay.
There is the one door on the wall, if you wanted to inspect that.
Yeah. Maybe
Go-
we should, because that's the only door that there really is. Is there any other doors?
Right.
Or
Not that you see at the moment, no.
maybe we could, like... yeah, let's go to the door. Through that door, maybe.
Alright, so you move up to the wooden door built into the wall. And, do you want to search it for traps, or do you just want to willy-nilly push it open?
Let's search it for traps.
Alright, whoever is moving up to the door themselves, whoever wants to do that investigation may give me an investigation check to see if the door is trapped.
Okay, I will do it, because, yeah. Oh, maybe not. My investigation is -1. Maybe someone who maybe has better investigation.
So
Mine's -1 too. So
So is
Dastris?
mine. So it doesn't matter.
the bravado of the warlock stepping up to the door is like, I'm gonna, you know what? No, that's probably not a good idea. And after a quick discourse between the three of you, you realize all three of you are probably equally skilled at seeking out traps within this area.
Oh, is it Rochambeau then?
Not the brightest party.
Whoa, that is a bunch of investigations. We will take the first one. So,
Sorry.
once in a while, if it doesn't show up right away. What was that?
Take the last one.
You can take the last one, absolutely. If you start from the bottom and work your way up, we will go with the 10. And as you sort of collectively, the three of you, Larry, Moe, and Curly, your way around this door frame and the door itself, and there seems to be no signs of traps of any sort as you're investigating it.
So, who wants to go first?
After you, Ewu.
That bit of the tank and everything.
Actually, our friend Dastris is quite armored, but you're quite a formidable figure yourself, Ewu.
You know what? I've already been killed once today. Maybe I could.
That's true. I was nearly
All
killed.
right.
Dastris?
Don't worry. Not.
All right, so Dastris, you bravely step up to the door after the rest of your party backs down and volunteers you. And with an air of confidence that only a dwarf can muster when in the company of non-dwarves, you swing the door open into the room beyond. And you see that this room is completely bare.
Really? All that for nothing?
The room smells heavily of urine, and there are scraps of straw and wood. This seems to have been a room to either keep animals, whether it be for ritual sacrifice or for feeding, but this room has lain empty for quite some time, and the smell of ammonia permeates it.
Ugh.
Oh,
Ugh.
Faustin.
You know, maybe we could go back to the main room and we could maybe check if there's any secret doors. Because I've been through a few temples, and you know, there's always seems to be a lot of secret doors.
All right.
Not a bad idea.
I'll check this room out while you guys check out the other one.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll roll another investigation check. Let's see if this one's better. Nope, it sucks.
All right, and I'll investigate. I guess
Sound?
the urine is smelling.
Javier actually speaks up. Well, You guys are having no luck with your dice today. But Javier sort of been watching you guys looking around and sees you looking at the walls and looking around the floor for any type of secrets or anything of that nature. And he unfurls the map that you had him holding on to while you were exploring. He's like, according to this map, that wall there seems to be, on here at least, it shows a corridor, but it's just solid wall. And he shows you the map. And it's literally where the skeleton is pointing to the wall on the map. If the map is accurate in size and dimension, where the skeleton's hand seems to be pointing, seems to be the section of wall on the map that shows a open corridor.
Yeah.
Dastris, can you come here a moment? I believe you may be able to
Please.
discern this door with your stone
I found
cutting.
urine. All right. So what do we have here?
Apparently on the map it shows that there could be some type of tunnel behind where this skeleton on the ground is pointing. I thought with your
Right.
skill in stone you might be able to detect something we're not seeing.
So I will try. But we'll do the same we did before. Perception plus.
Yes, you're giving me a perception stone cutting check. So yeah, add a +2 to your perception.
There you go.
There you go.
With a
That's
21.
persuasion. That's a persuasion.
So-
Wait, needed. That was a good roll.
Oh, the perception isn't so good.
Well, that being said, with the +2, that gives you a 10. And after a few moments of looking around the wall, you notice there's a small area that, the way that the lighting and the way that the shape of the wall sits, it would be very easy to miss this tiny, like 2-inch alcove in the stone at about chest height. And as you look inside, you can see a small stone button within this alcove about an inch or so deep.
Push the button.
And as you push the button, you feel a slight rumble and tremble in the wall and floor before the wall before you starts to slide, revealing a corridor beyond.
Okie dokie. Well, let's go through.
Once again, you see a corridor open before you, slowly curving. And as you enter, that smell once again of refuse and urine and sewage seeping through the stones here. And once again, Dastris, you can tell the reason you're able to smell that so clearly is the way that this is built. After so long in disrepair, cracks have definitely formed between the floor and the sewage beneath. So the gases that are trapped below are slowly leaking into this area. So it does not smell very good. It is not something you want to be in for a long period of time, but it does not seem to be dangerous. And as the passageway opens, as the gases that were trapped sort of pass by Javier's torch, you see that the light takes on a dim green glow for a few moments before returning to normal. So it has not built up enough to be dangerous or explosive, but the different gases absolutely are discoloring the flames. And as to you are familiar with the ways that certain alchemical ingredients or gases or tinctures can change flames and change fire to create different effects. So seeing that, you know, if it only was a mild light, like a light change in color like that, it is not something that you have to fear of blowing up on you.
All right. So I will go first, I guess.
And
We've established that sort of order.
And as you creep through the darkness, you begin to feel a dampness in the air. And then the smell of stagnant, rancid water, but it's much more acidic. It isn't long before you come across the cause. A very large, water-filled pit is stretched before you.
Ooh.
How deep it goes and what lurks beneath it is anyone's guess.
Maybe we can like throw something in there and see, what happens. Or if it's like, I don't know, acidic or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a better idea. Let's go ahead and try that.
All right. So
Is
you
there
move.
any, rocks anywhere we can just plop in there?
There's plenty of scree and gravelly small, like knuckle bone sized stones along the corners of the corridors. That is not an issue at all. This corridor is not
We
clean.
could like try to touch the flames to it, see if it just puts out the flames or it lights on fire.
Well, as you approach the edge of the water-filled pit, you notice that the water itself is about 10 feet down.
Oh.
But crossing the surface, there's a large branch from the surface above you that has seemed to fallen down the shaft where the water would have been supplied from, and it's wedged into the rock face and dirt above you across the pit. And you see Javier is looking at this and looking at you, looks at the pit, and you, in the dim torchlight, you can just see his face go pale.
What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong, Javier?
I don't do well with heights of any sort, and I don't know how to swim.
Oh. We might not even have to swim across. We're not even sure if this water is safe to swim in. Is it safe to swim in or no?
How would you determine that?
I can do a perception check, maybe, see if there's anything like, I don't know, wrong or investigation.
Okay, go ahead and give me a perception check, and if that's good, I'll have you roll something else for me.
Let's see, sorry. Okay, perception.
All right, as you're looking down with a 14, you see this water is definitely rancid and off-colored and very still. And as you sort of kneel down at the edge and you're looking over, as you put your hand down to like sort of grip the edge, you knock a couple pieces of debris from the very edge into the liquid. And you see the rocks and gravel hit the water with a thick plop, almost as if they're landing in like mud at first.
Oh, I hope it's not like a glob thing, like it's alive or something.
After a few moments, you see they just slowly start to sink into it. But the water itself does not ripple, it does not move. And as that surface tension is broken and those rocks sink in, it's almost like you just inhaled a lungful of vinegar and you sort of sputter back coughing violently from the pure acidity of whatever is in this liquid.
It's definitely not safe to swim in then. No. Do we have any flying spells, or is there like an edge around it that we can walk around maybe to get across or something? Or just straight across?
The other question I was going to ask is, from appearance, it looks like that's slung across a beam, but is that beam, is that able to be knocked so that it crosses that chasm?
What you're seeing on camera, you're seeing that, as I said,
It's just built into the wall.
It's built into the ceiling, actually, and it extends beyond the borders of the corridor.
Right.
As you're looking at it, one thing you do see is the gnarled roots and vines around the center of it would be a perfect place if you had a grappling hook and rope to try to attach it.
Which we probably don't have.
No, definitely not. I do not.
I'm pretty sure I have the grease pack, yeah. So if we need any incense, I got it.
If you'd like to be entertained,
Or if we
I
need to
got it.
ask, or if we have to ask for any alms or pool too.
You will. I can make a beautiful song at your demise. Should you, should you not make it?
Well,
Are you telling me that you came into a cavernous area with no climbing gear of any sort?
yes, yes.
Don't
Wait,
judge
do you have,
Harvey.
Javier, do you have any?
Well, I mean, I do. I have a rope and I have hooks, but looking at that liquid, and I'm not crossing that. I will not go beyond that. But if you are willing to perhaps add an additional, and you see sort of waffles back and forth running numbers in his head, if you're willing to add an additional 5 gold to my share of whatever we find, I would be happy to allow you to use it just in case we lose it. And I'll hold the rope for you on the side.
Javier, I do appreciate that, but I hope this doesn't become you nickel and diming us all through this dungeon anytime we need something that you just so happen to have. I do understand your entrepreneurship and trying to obtain more gold. We all have a need for such, but can we say that maybe this time, yes, but perhaps going forward, let's not continue with this?
Yeah, I agree. Wait, is he gonna? He said he wasn't coming with us, was he? Didn't he say? Hey, I'm not.
Well, he's not coming with us, but I just meant in general.
Yeah, he said that he would, if you're able to attach a rope to get across, he would hold on to the rope here to make sure it doesn't fall in, and he would wait for your return.
You better, dude. Otherwise, you're getting no cut of this at all.
Oh no,
You'll get some cuts. It won't be the money.
I apologize if my request offended. It's just, I mean, looking at the three of you, you've seen some great adventures. I'm sure you've amassed quite a bit of wealth in your time, and I'm a simple guide and laborer here in the city, only trying to provide for my family. I meant absolutely no offense, and yeah, I mean, if I were to lose the rope and the hook, that would put me behind quite a bit. That's all I'm asking, is if we lose it, you would be willing to reimburse me for it.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay. I only have 4 gold pieces. So you see, I'm not very rich.
Yes, and 5 gold. I mean, it seems quite expensive for a rope and some hooks.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Since in this instance, since it will be aiding us and not going in whatever that is, I suppose, can we compromise and make it a 3 gold, so it would be one from each of us, and if we do find something worth the while, then perhaps we can compensate you for the rest of that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. That's good, yeah.
Perhaps you're misunderstanding. I'm not asking you to pay me for use of my rope and my hook. I'm saying only if we were to lose them.
Only if we lose it.
Oh. Well, all this for
okay.
nothing, then. Don't listen to me.
I will happily accept any money that you want to give me. I mean, I would be a fool not to. But
I mean, since I have misunderstood, and I do apologize, here you go. I will give you 3 gold myself at this moment, but please do be waiting for us when we return.
You have my word. And he quickly shrugs off the small pack that he has, opening it up, and you see he pulls out a small but functional grappling hook and a very old, thick hempen rope that he slowly attaches to it and holds out, and he's holding the one end. It's about 35 to 40 feet of rope.
Okay.
And he's like, this is very generous of you, and I appreciate your trust in me with this. I will wait here for your return for at least, well, I mean, you can't really see the sun or passage of time, but I will wait here until I can't wait anymore.
Sounds about as reasonable as we can.
Let's go, peoples. Let's just go. You know, I think we shouldn't make this any worse than it already has gotten. So
No,
just...
indeed. I would I'm probably the lightest of us three. Perhaps I should try it first. I go in against my better judgment, but just to see how this beam holds under my weight, we can get a better idea of perhaps how I'll do with yours.
Right.
Wait, what's your total weight? It says it at the very bottom of your equipment thing.
56.24.
I only have 29.58.
But how much do you yourself weigh?
I don't know. Where does it say that?
Well, for now, just so you understand,
I assume you're much more weight than I have.
a dragonborn is going to weigh more than a human. A dwarf is going to weigh more than an average human. But in reality, for the intents and purposes of this, your exact weight isn't going to matter as much as how much your additional gear weighs.
Okay.
All right.
If it comes into play at all, that's what's going to matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at 90 pounds, almost. Let me just tell you.
And that's before adding in the great axes if you took them.
No.
Okay. So,
Are you at evil?
That would be her. She's got the least weight.
Okay. Oh, it weighs so much. I'm looking at my equipment. I don't see anything that would weigh that much.
All right, you do it.
so who is going to try to attach the rope to the branch? Who's going to make the athletics check?
Athletics.
I got a +4.
I got a 1.
And what about you, Iwu? Iwu?
Oh, we lost her.
Dash?
All right. I'll do it.
Dash, we cannot hear you right now. Try disconnecting from the chat and coming back in, or muting and unmuting yourself.
Now, I was having that problem last night with Discord.
Discord is so fun when it comes to their audio issues.
Oh, you just went.
Can you still hear me all right?
It looks like you're coming through fine.
Now I can hear you drop for a second.
All right. Yeah, we lost Dash BNMN.
Yeah, I see. He's still on. It's just
Yeah, we've lost audio from them. So,
Can we leave?
JC. All right, we have JC trying to work on the audio issue now to try to figure out what the heck happened.
And maybe they get in on, just put the audio on roll 20 for the moment.
Unfortunately, we do not have the audio synced from there.
Okay.
All right, we got Jeff back. And hey, Dash, are you still there? Can you hear us? Dash.
Yeah, there's no response right now.
Okay.
So
Well,
if you can hear us or not, but
I-
what about Jeff?
Jeff, are you able to hear us?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, we got. I see Dash is trying to mute and unmute their mic. Unfortunately, we have no sound coming from them. Dash, if you can hear us still, please mute and unmute your mic real quick. All right, so Dash can still communicate with us. If you want to try to play with your audio settings on your end, that's fine. If you want to interact directly, you can use the chat box in Roll20 as we continue, if you're okay with that for the moment. I don't understand what went wrong and what happened. But yeah, for now, we'll just keep an eye on the chat box in Roll20 for Iwu's interactions. So, all right. So, we're figuring out who's going to throw the rope. One of you has a +4, one of you has a +1. What about Iwu for your athletics? What would your athletics bonus be? Is a 2. So.
Well, Das already threw it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And I did do very well.
So with the 7, all right. As you're swinging it out, you're able to catch it on the edge of one of the roots, and it sort of clips around part of the log itself, and with a hard tug, it's not the best grasp, it's not the best anchor point, but you put a serious amount of weight on it and pull, and it seems to be holding all right.
Well, Iwu, you did say you have the least weight.
So, with that, the rope is passed towards Iwu. Does Iwu take the rope and try to swing across? All right, so Iwu, you take the rope, wrapping it around your forearm, gripping it tightly, taking a few steps back, and wrapping up enough of the rope that it's not going to swing you down into the wall on the opposite side. You swing across the branch on the rope. And as you do, you land on the other side of the corridor fairly easily before turning, unraveling your arm, and swinging it back to your party members who are able to catch the rope on the other side without much issue. You are safely across the other side of the pit. Who is going to be going next?
I suppose I'll go. After seeing that, I suppose I will try to go next. Also, a little bit saddened that I am not on the other side already. Well, Dastris, Iwu, it's been excellent. If this should not go well, but here we go. Am I doing acrobatics or?
Oh, no. If you're taking the rope and you're swinging across, it's only a 20-foot chasm. As you're not in a rush, you could easily make this swing without having to make a check.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
So, and as you go across, you swing fairly fine. There's no issues as you come across, but at least not that you're paying attention to because your eyes are locked on the other side. But Iru, Javier, and Dastris, you all see the branch in the ceiling start to give and shift, and you see some dirt and leaves and other refuse from above fall down into the water below. And as the foliage starts to fall down, you see it starting to sizzle in the water. And you know that this branch probably does not have much more hold to it. You think you could get across maybe one more person if you're lucky.
Oh.
Well, I suppose that's good if anyone's trying to follow us.
Oh, Iwu, we can hear you again.
We can hear you now.
Wait, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Dun dun dun.
Yes, as I said, I suppose that bodes well for us if anyone's trying to follow us, but not so much on our way back.
We will find another way. You know, maybe we'll find some magic objects that could help us out. Maybe
Yes,
to go back.
yes, or perhaps something else that could help span the 20-foot chasm. All right, pressing on.
And Dastris, do you make your way across as well or no?
Yep. Of course.
You're still on the other side? Oh, shit.
He grabs the rope, and you, once again, that dwarven bravado kicks up. You just saw these two go across like it's nothing. You're not going to let a dragonborn show you up across this. Not here, not when you have something to prove. You wrap that rope around your arm, you swing across. You get about halfway as the branch gives way and comes crashing down onto the walls on either side, still suspended above the pit. And we have a technical issue here. And as the branch hits, the rope drops low, and as you swing, you catch your stomach on the far wall, just scrabbling yourself up. You look back. You see where the dirt gave way and where the branches now crashed down. It is wedged firmly on the rock walls of this tunnel above you. But not before the pit drops out of Dastrus's stomach, thinking he is about to plunge into the water below. Scrabbling up the other side, you see the end of the rope that fell down. A good 10 feet of it now has bubbled and burned in whatever noxious liquid is below, leaving only about 30 feet of rope remaining before it is swung back to Javier to hold onto so it does not just dangle in the center.
See, Javier, I told you about soiling your armor, and I told you that we'll take care of the rope. So I guess, you're now aware of everything.
Yeah.
Well, let's press forward.
Barely escaping a disastrous fate. Javier, torch in one hand, rope in the other, pressed up against the wall, watches you. Good luck. Please be careful and return quickly. I do not like it here.
That makes at least 4 of us.
Continuing down the corridor, you come to an area of heavy moss and vines.
Okay. Before we go through, I know that I like to take perception checks when I'm near vines because a lot of them attack me. So
Go ahead and give me a nature check to see if these are normal vines or the assassin kind.
yeah, okay. My nature is -1, but why not? Go for it.
Everybody else is. Don't worry.
And Dash, I will tell you this much, as from a player perspective to a player, I do the same because I've actually watched one of my own parties get wiped out by those things. So I do not blame you one bit. But as you're looking at them, you have that moment of wariness from past experiences on a previous adventure down in the jungles of Chult with these vines that would creep along the ground and strangle people in their sleep, or unwary adventurers. And as you're looking, you do not see the telltale fronds on the vines that would indicate that that's what they are. And it seems that these are simply naturally growing ivy and other types of vines.
Everything seems to be vine.
And as you push your way through,
His mouth.
you enter the area that is awash in a pulsing bluish green light. The source of this light are orbs on pedestals in the center.
Oh, I think I've faced these orbs before. They're really annoying. They led me astray one time, and when you try to attack them, they have a lot of resistance to everything.
And as you're looking, you see that on the pedestal that they sit upon, they just slowly pulse with light, and the pedestal itself snakes up around the glass of the orb to hold it in place.
Oh.
But there's something else that catches your eye a little bit more, that is a little bit more interesting, because directly in front of that orb, you see your salvation, your dream, and your fate. The golden hammer of Kos lays before you, the golden brilliance reflecting off the iris and illuminating the room even more. Surrounding it,
Traps?
surrounding the room and surrounding the hammer, you see small caches of gold and gems along the floor on that side of the corridor. And it is very clear that this is a room that not only holds this relic, but also holds an unforetold amount of treasure here. Now, Iwu, if you would like to search for traps at this point, you absolutely can.
Investigation?
It would be an investigation, yes. As you move further into the room and the light washes over you.
Yeah, I think there's so much gold here. Why wouldn't they put traps? Okay, I got a 10 on investigation. It might not be so great.
All right. As you move towards the hammer, you're struck with a strange feeling, just as you're voicing this, that there's no presence of, like, you don't have that sense of danger or that fear of danger in this room. The only indication of something powerful is the cold shiver you feel in the air as you approach the hammer. The energy radiating off of this relic.
Something seems quite off here.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't they put traps? I mean, who wants their gold being stolen, you know? Or powerful
I
relic.
agree. Well, seems too good to be true, indeed.
And as the three of you move into the room a little bit closer, you can see the hammer rests upon a pedestal made of jade and ivory. While at first glance it appears to be sitting upon the pedestal, as you look now, you notice it's actually hovering ever so slightly above it. You can feel the power flowing from it, and more importantly, you can see the sheer value of an item such as this.
Okay, so I think that we might need like gloves or something, because if that much power is radiating off it probably could do damage if we touch it, I'd say.
I was going to suggest, and this is no bias at all, but I was going to suggest perhaps if any of us, it would be Dastrus as a man of the cloth, that he would be the one that possibly wouldn't sustain any harm from grabbing the hammer.
Okay.
Oh,
And that's not to put myself aside, my friend. You know this. You know we've traveled together much, and I have much respect and love for you. It's just, I feel like I definitely would.
I understand. I'll say a little prayer, and I'll reach for the hammer then.
Sorry.
Saying a quick prayer, Dash, your hands tremble with fear and anticipation.
Wait, that was Dastrus.
Yes. Your hands tremble with both fear and anticipation as you reach out. Your hand slowly grasping around the handle of the hammer. Shockingly, other than the hammer's burdeningly great weight, nothing appears to happen.
Wow, this is just too easy, it seems. Just way too easy.
Dastrus, you are also instantly aware that the might of this weapon can only be truly wielded by a powerful paladin of pure heart.
Too bad we don't have one of those.
But you also know that a treasure of this nature...
Pardon?
You also know that a treasure of this nature, sold to the right people, would net you enough of a fortune for you to retire happily.
We can give Javier those other 2 gold pieces.
Yeah.
And as you say that, you look...
I am another rope.
You look around the room and you see these stores of treasure, and you're realizing this temple was dedicated to this item, and this is obviously a room of dedication and donation to show the true worth of this weapon.
I'm sorry. I would just like to say, upon thinking about things, and that perhaps it may be a bad idea to take any of the gold or items in this room, as they were a dedication to this hammer. That's your discretion if you, Dastrus or Dash, would like to. But I've seen bad things happen when people take offerings from temples.
Yeah, I saw that, in like Finding Ohan and that stuff. Yeah, maybe we should maybe we can take the hammer, but maybe we should leave the gold.
I'm okay with that, but I'm going to take a glimpse into this orb real quick.
And as you do, you see it just slowly is pulsing and swirling with this blue-green light over and over. And as you step up closer, this immensely heavy hammer in your hand. As you pull it from the pedestal where it's hovering, and you are now holding it before you, you see the light pulsing and pulsing, and then suddenly it goes out. And the room, the floor, you see the coins starting to shift and sway. The walls start shaking. You see dirt and debris starting to come down from the ceiling as the entire room begins to violently shake.
Run! Just run out of here, please. We need to get out of here, like, ASAP.
Yep.
As you come around the corner, you see the entire corridor, the entire hallway is starting to collapse. And the walls themselves have started to crumble in. And as you come around the corner to see Javier, you see that the log itself has dislodged and cracked, falling into the pit below.
Definitely hold for the rope.
Javier is still holding on to what remains of the rope. And he's looking at you. And as everything is shaking and trembling, Dash, you know immediately there is no way you can get across with a running jump if you are holding onto this hammer. But as you're holding it, even with its great weight, you can feel that it can be thrown. And Javier is looking. He's like, it cannot be. You found it. You found it.
Okay, we're gonna throw it over there, so...
Wait. But wait. Now I'm saying this. I mean, not wait a long time, but I think we should try and cross, two of us at least, before we throw the hammer, because just in case Javier has a change of heart.
Besides that, you guys
I'm gonna run.
Dastrus.
I'm gonna run and jump.
Hold on, Dastrus. As you have that moment of realization, you guys are in split-second timing right now. Dastrus, what do you do?
I'll throw the hammer then.
You son of a bitch.
As you throw the hammer, across, and it, as heavy as it was in your hand, the moment you let go of it, it floats as if you just threw a discus across this pit, like nothing, as if gravity is not affecting it. And it flies straight. Javier reaches his hand out, grabs it, holds up the rope as if he's to toss it to you, drops it into the pit. Adios, suckers. And with that, he turns and bolts. Javier takes off as the corridor starts crumbling. With that, we now turn to Iwu. Are you going to try to clear the pit? Iwu, did we lose you? Dash.
I guess we don't have.
We lost Dash's sound again. Dash, please type in Roll20. What do you do?
Dash is typing.
If you want to try to run and jump across the pit, give me a athletics check. Knowing that you've been double-crossed and seeing this, you run. And as you get to the edge, you give a huge push, pushing off the edge. Arms out in the air, swinging. But all too late, you realize the strength of your legs and the crumbling edge of this corridor beneath you was not enough. And as you plummet towards the water and certain death, all you can think of is how close you came to greatness. And in that last moment, you look down the corridor where Javier has fled, your body twisting to look behind you to your two companions who have already lost you once today. Your body hits the liquid below, and as debris starts crumbling around you, a searing pain courses through you as, in a matter of moments, You feel your flesh and sinew and muscle dissolving in the liquid below, and you're able to let out one last scream and one last warning to your allies before you are consumed completely. If there's anything you would like to say in this moment, Iwu, you may do so.
Aw.
Oh.
I was 2 times in one day.
Twice in a day you have now lost your friend. And
I was really thinking there was going to be an explicitive there, but goodbye, friends. That's very touching. Oh my God! With a heavy heart, I'm wondering as I run towards knowing that I've just lost my friend for the second time. I'm a little quite heavy-hearted, and the trepidation is already there. Is there could I make more of a more of a parkour move so I can
trying to jump off the wall itself?
Yeah, kind of like how they do how wide are these tunnels?
10 feet across.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was thinking
You're trying to do the wall, like ninja wall jump?
Kind of a.
Unfortunately,
Acrobatics.
if you want to give it an attempt, you can give me an acrobatics check at disadvantage to try to vault off one of the walls across.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking is if I ran right at it and I tried to Well, I guess it is what it is. I'm going to run. I'm no time to think. I see the because everything's crashing down, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
You have a moment before the walls come down on you.
You know what? It's all or nothing. I'm going to take that acrobatics at disadvantage.
Go for it.
Because it's live or die, man. I've live and die by the dice. Here we go.
Holy shit! So, as you look at the walls, you see the way the stones are crumbling and falling. You go to start running, and in just that last moment, you see a chunk of the wall, Lyrian, on your right-hand side fall away, creating what would make a perfect foothold. You adjust your jump at the last moment, leaping out, and as that wall is crumbling, your foot solidly finds that point, and with one last push, you leap across, landing prone and rolling back to your feet on the other side of the pit, looking back at Dastris, who is now making his leap, if I am not mistaken.
Yep. But a little inspiration might be helpful.
Unfortunately. Do you have bardic inspiration available?
I should. Yep.
At level 1, you have it. Yes.
It's all yours, my friend.
Well, how do you no? How are you going to inspire him?
So, that jump was pretty inspirational as it comes. So basically, as I leap, just a coup de grace, as I leap, I quickly unstring my lyre and just hit a across it.
There's a bardic power chord.
Yeah, bardic power chord basically on as I land on the other side in one motion, just pull my lyre off my back and hit that note for him.
All right. With that, you see what he just pulled off, and okay, I can do this.
I can do this.
If he can make that fancy thing, I can do this. Go ahead and give me your athletics check and add an additional 1d6.
Come on, Dastris.
I don't need the D6.
There you go, baby.
With that, that's a 23. You run and you leap. And as you get to the edge, you actually jump before you reach the edge, your feet planting on the edge of this stone. And you give all of the strength that your legs have, launching yourself across this pit. And once again, catching yourself in the chest on the other end. You grab the edge and reaching up to your ally, he grabs your arm, helping you up to your feet, and you both start running. Coming around the edge of the corridor.
Parkour.
And as you pull yourself up from the trap, you just made it to the other side, panting and gasping. You look back, your friend fallen. You have just a moment to mourn the fact that they have fallen behind you. And as that happens, you, among the grinding and falling, you see a large section of the ceiling over the pit gives way at an angle, and you see stones and rocks tumbling out. But there is a large, heavy granite stone that has been worn and pressed over time that comes rolling from this hole, bounding towards you. Your eyes widen in disbelief, and you realize now you're running for your life down this corridor.
It's the old Indiana Jones.
I need both of you to give me an acrobatics check.
Woo! Okay, come on, baby.
Good thing you gave me an inspiration.
I could use some myself.
Oh, there you
Yay!
All right, you both, as that first part happens, you barrel into the corner of the curved corridor, running full force, and you're trying to make it that last bit, but this boulder is gaining on you. I need you both to push with an athletics check to make it through that open corridor before it crushes you.
Not the one, baby. Come on. Come on, baby. Oof. 10.
10 and an 18.
Nice job, Gastrus.
Dastrus, your little legs are pumping as hard as you can, and you actually overtake your friend, making it through the corridor and letting out a whoop of relief and joy as you turn around just in time to see your dear friend.
No.
The look of terror in his eyes, because as you know, you're running and you're going, and you see your dwarven ally, the one you just inspired, make it past you, and you know your chest is tight, your breathing is ragged, and your legs are giving out. A terrible fear washes over you as you know how painful your death is about to be. Luckily, you don't think about it too long as the boulder catches up with you.
Can I cast Bless real quick? But that won't help it.
No, this is in that moment as you're turning. This is the split second of what you see. Dastrus, you look back and you watch this boulder crush Lyrian.
No.
As the boulder comes to a crash in the corridor. You see he opens his mouth to give one last word or say something as the boulder catches his feet first, rolling up the rest of his body. But whatever he is about to say, whatever words are about to come out of his mouth, are just left as a last choking, startled gasp as the boulder crushes his chest and takes his life.
Javier, I'm coming for you.
You let out that cry of anger and rage. Dastrus, you are the last of your party remaining. You know the way out of these corridors. You know the ways out of these chambers. Do you start chasing after him and running? Are you going to take your time and try to sneak?
No, I'm going to chase after him. I'm only thought of revenge now.
And as you move through the room with the pillars and back to the area with the torches, your footfalls coming heavy on the ground. You come around the corner and you see a man dressed in leather armor with a scimitar on his side and daggers in his belt. And you know what you're looking at. Your time in these areas have told you very clearly a man of this nature is a bounty hunter. And you see him, but what's worse is he clearly sees you. Well, looky what I got here. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it myself. Ain't you the lucky one? Lucky indeed to have survived the death trap. Too bad for you, though. Your luck ends here. Javier's paid me way too much to let you live. Dastrus, I need you to give me an initiative roll.
Fine. I smirked. And I said, don't worry. I'll make sure I take that with me as well.
A brave one, I see. So with a 15 initiative, unfortunately, you go second in combat against the bounty hunter, who immediately unsheaths his scimitar with one hand, the dagger simultaneously with the other. And he moves up to you, toe to toe, looking down at you. You can see the gap tooth, the grin, the unshaven beard as he looks at you and smirks, swinging rapidly, his scimitar coming down at you twice, followed by an underhanded uppercut into your gut with a dagger. We will see how those swings connect, or if they do, in just a moment. As the scimitar, the first one is an 11. Will that hit?
No.
So as that first one comes down, you very quickly bring your warhammer up off of your belt, catching the side of the blade and knocking it to the side. His arc goes wide. He comes back in with a lower swing, trying to catch you. Just a grin, and as he does so, you twist just out of the way, leaving him open, or so it seems, as his body is crossed. The dagger coming up from above now, trying to just catch you in the shoulder or in the leg or whatever he can. And as that dagger comes in, it just pierces through your leather armor directly into your muscle as he twists it and wrenches it in that spot before ripping it back out. You take 4 points of damage as he does so. And with that, it is on you.
All right. I cash Shield of Faith.
As your bonus action?
Yep.
All right. And what about your action, my friend?
I will miss him completely.
And as you come down with the warhammer, the dagger, right as you go to swing, the same arm that the dagger is dug into, as you're coming down, it's clear you're about to connect, and that's when he wrenches the dagger out, completely throwing your aim off as it crashes to the ground. He looks at you, grinning. Oh, this is too good. And he swings again. Scimitar. That first swing, though, as he does so, those grates that you saw on the floor, his foot catches on one of them, overextending his arm and actually not allowing him to take his second swing with his scimitar. He comes at you once more with the dagger. A 12, missing you. This time now, you're dancing around him. It seems you are getting the upper hand in this moment. It's back to you. A 15 will hit, dealing 6 damage to him as you just crack the warhammer directly on his shoulder, holding the scimitar, and you can hear the bone underneath splintering. And he looks at you, gritting his teeth, furious over the fact that he allowed you to hit him. And now, once again, coming at you with the scimitar, angrily swinging. Swinging wide once again, your god seeming to smile upon you as he's just relentlessly swinging.
That'll do it.
And with a critical hit, is 10 enough to drop you?
Yes, it is.
And with that first swing, the scimitar goes wide. But as you deflect it with your warhammer, that second swing comes in, and he actually comes in with the pommel of the hammer, catching you dead in the center of your forehead. And everything goes black. Your last thoughts in that moment are of your fallen allies and everything you did, everything you worked on, everything that you had dreamed, all of your hopes are being dashed. And you even gave that bastard 3 extra gold.
Right?
And then everything goes quiet. After an unknown amount of time, we are seeing right now if you actually survive. Go ahead and give me a D4.
Okay.
After an indeterminate amount of time, you find yourself barely able to move, barely able to speak. You don't know where you are, but you can see sun light streaming down one of the walls where you are. You look down and your warhammer is gone. Your holy symbol, your coin purse, all of your belongings are gone, and you've actually been stripped down to nothing but your underclothes. And you were enraged in that moment for the fact that he didn't have the guts to kill you. He had the audacity to rob you. And all of that enrages you in that moment. But then you notice what feels off and what feels strange and why you suddenly feel as cold as you do. And in that moment, the fact that he didn't kill you, the fact that he robbed you, the fact that your friends died, that doesn't matter. Because as your hands go to your face, you realize it is bare.
He shaved my beard.
There are chunks of stubble and a few stray hairs here and there, but the large, luxurious beard that you have crafted over the past 100 some odd years is gone.
No.
This is a man who will pay for what he has done to your friends and yourself. You get up and you start making your way back to the tavern where you first met Javier, where you and your allies were going to stay. The smells of salted pork and smoked beef fill the area. townsfolk look at you and sort of shy away as you look like nothing more than a vagrant. You make your way into the tavern and people look at you, and once again, most of them are giving a look, but you see one of the men that you and your allies were talking to before you went down, one of the men that was drinking with you and Javier and cheering you for your success. He looks at you, he's like, no, it can't be, by Lysander's light. I thought you'd be dead. You've had a rough one, haven't you?
Yes. Have you seen Javier?
Yeah, he made it out as well. The good news is he made it and he was in a bit of a rush. But I think he was on his way to the docks to board the Fallen Star. And, I mean, he dropped this advertisement to book passage before he left. But that was over an hour ago. The ship might have already left by now. Let me buy you an ale. And he hands you a mug. He's like, this is on me. You seem like you need it. And as you sit,
Slam it, and I'm going to try running to the docks.
running out of the tavern, the man just looks at you quizzically, seeing you slam back the ale. Doesn't question it, and you run out the door. And you start running towards the docks. After a few minutes, you make it to the dock area. The seagulls flying overhead, the smell of fresh gutted fish. You see the different boats and ships in the dockyard. In the Fallen Star, a large sailing vessel that regularly sails to the Moonshays and up and down the Sword Coast. A ship that is recognizable on sight by the large midnight blue sails dotted with silver and gold stars across them, one streaking across the center. You're looking for it along the docks, and then you see it. Already out to sea. Slowly moving from the docks. Beyond the range of a crossbow, beyond the range of your ability to swim. Your fortune. Your future. And your revenge lay within that ship. But that is the story of another adventure, my friend. And thus ends the Golden Hammer of Kos. You made it out with your life. Barely.
But not my dignity.
No one ever makes it out of an adventure with their dignity when they play with them.